Welcome to More Than a Few Words. This is your host, Lorraine Ball. And this is another one of those conversations about what went wrong. In the hot seat today, I've got Billy Sammons. And Billy's already been a guest, so there'll be a link to one of our other conversations. And I was on Billy's podcast, which you also should check out. But today, well, first off, Billy, welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me on again. It's so much fun. And I like to be here. Looking good today. I know lots have changed since the last time we met up, so looking good.
Thank you. I'm having fun with the new look. That's one of those things that you think you know what you need to look like, and then one day you're like, I don't look like that anymore. I can look different.
That's good.
You shouldn't too often, just like your brand. You shouldn't change it too often.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different conversation. And for today, what we really want to talk about is, Billy, you had a great idea.
Did.
Let's talk about your great idea, and then we can talk about what went wrong.
So I do all my businesses work on referrals. So I'm referral based and I teach entrepreneurs how to use referrals and very strategic giving. So one of the things I had set up was an event, and I did a lot of events. We used to do one when we got into a group, we do one a month, but this is one of the first ones. And so the idea was to hook up the local brewery with a bakery. And it was beers and donuts. No, beer and bakery. It was called Beer and Bakery. So we had like beer themed baked goods. So like the donuts lined up with their Pilsner, or the donut latched up with their stout. And they used some of the ingredients from the beer in the actual baked goods. And so I had an array of all these delicious baked goods, and people were supposed to pair them up with beers. And I'm like, this is going to crush it. Who would not want to come in, grab a donut, sip on a little beer, and tell me how it tasted? Like, it was going to be great. And it wasn't.
Oh, I do see Carb City, but okay. But if you're in the mood for that, I can totally see baked goods and beer, the right breads. Absolutely. So what do you think went wrong?
Oh, I know it went wrong. The fact, just because you have a good idea doesn't mean people are going to show up to a good idea. What I learned from that specific event is that I needed to have other vendors there too. You need to have 3 or 4 other people. You have to have some other things for people to do. It can't just be sitting down and drinking beer, having donuts. That's a great idea, but you also have to have some other related local businesses involved too. And it's for marketing purposes. I should have had more people in there because they can bring their audiences as well. They can help me market and do things. I should have gotten the bakery, and I should have gotten the brewery more marketing, or any marketing material. I should have tried to get a hold of some of their lists of people and said, listen, I'll create the marketing if you can send this out to your people. I didn't do any of the follow-ups. I didn't do any of the regular stuff. I didn't try to hit up any of their audience like I should have. Didn't make any connections. I just assumed that I had a cool idea and that people were just going to show up for it. And I didn't do any of the things that I learned I needed to do for all of my events, with systems, organization, outreach, marketing, all the stuff that actually makes an event work. I learned by really just that one just being a total flop. I had 0 people show up to that. 0.
Oh my God. Oh, even your friends didn't show up for the bread and beer.
My brother was the only one. He and I were the only 2. I'm like, this is way too much beer and way too many good for both of us. Even though we like this stuff, it's not going to work. So I don't count him, because he was just a mercy show. He was just showing up just to show up. So flop.
But, you fell into that, field of dreams. If you build it, they will come.
Yep, absolutely.
What you needed, though, was a ghost gimmick. Yet you had to have somebody pushing people to come and watch. So if you would do it again, and you kind of made a list of some of the things that you would do, but let's kind of break it down a little bit. So the first thing was the venue good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The venue's good. And I hosted events there on a regular basis. I do my Christmas party there. Like, it's a good big space, and you don't have to have liquor license and do all that stuff because it's inherently already built into the establishment. So it made it really easy to host events there and do things there. So the event space wasn't the problem.
Okay. So we had the event space, and then you sought out your partners, and you had your feature, your beer and your bread. What did you tell them when you put it together that, number one, they should expect, but what were your expectations of them, and what should they have been?
I just, hey, listen, you have the beer because that's what you do. And then you make the baked goods because that's what you do. And if you just I'll buy the product, I'll put it together, and I'll market it out. So in part, that was okay because everybody stayed in their lanes, right? The beer people stayed in their lane, the bakery people stayed in their lane, and I should have been more marketing centric. I did not do enough. Maybe a couple of posts here and there, but I should have reached out to audiences. I should have done individual invites. I should have sent out postcards. I should have tapped into their audience, which is what I learned very early on is that when you help local businesses, they have big followings too. And you really need to start tapping into their big audiences in order to help you grow your business out. And so I didn't do that very well either. So there's so many marketing mistakes that after I did this event, I made a checklist. This was a disaster. And I did, oh, I did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. And I just made a big list of all the things that went wrong. And that checklist is what I use for events afterwards. And I never had a zero turnout. There was times where I had a small turnout, but I mean, there's events that we had several hundred. There was events where we had dozens, but I don't think I ever had zero show up ever again. And that event created my checklist that I needed for all events.
I love the two pieces of learning there. One is, you had your sponsor, not your sponsors, but you had your featured businesses.
Yep.
But you didn't ask enough of them. You didn't tap into their network. And that was a key. Just again, they're the local stars. And definitely to do that. But then also this idea of a checklist. And not every step makes sense for every event, but forcing you or your team to look at it and go, do we need to do that?
Exactly.
Really critical.
Yeah. And if anybody in your audience wants a copy of it, I'll share it. Just email me, livelocalmd@gmail.com. I'll give it away. You can have a copy of it and see if it fits and works for you. Because now I've built it out where it's got all the things we did wrong. It has roles, who does what. It has date, time. It has the goal, the one goal of the event. And then it's got like a space for sponsors. So if you have sponsors and things too, which I didn't do for this event, which I could have. I mean, there was opportunities for like mugs. There were so many things I should have done for this event. But now the checklist is all encompassing. It's got all those elements to it. So if you want one, just email me.
Absolutely. You know what? Go ahead and send me one. Well, because we're putting together, and I feel really good about it because we're putting together a very small event, and we only want 20 people. It's a real intimate event, and I already have 18 pre-registered.
Oh, you're done.
But I would love to look at that list because the goal is, if the small event works, can we? And do we want to expand it? Do we want to just replicate less of small, or do we want to go bigger? Haven't decided that yet.
Well, you do know that just by having the idea it's not going to work on its own. So yeah, hopefully my huge mistake helped you with it sounds like it already has. If you got 18 people signed up again, you know what you're doing.
Well, now my very first conference I did with a friend of mine, and we ended up getting 100 people in the room.
That's good.
I don't want to tell you how many of those were free.
Yeah.
Because we needed to make the speakers feel better. And just like with your event where you didn't tap into the sponsors, we didn't tap into our speakers. We didn't say, hey, we're going to give you a stage. You got to do something. And it was not just years, it was decades before I tried that again.
Oh yeah, those things hurt. They really and hurt your pocketbook. They hurt your pride. They hurt everything, and you're like, oh, I'm not doing that again. And it really takes a long time for that bruise to go away. It really does.
It does, but it's so valuable, and I'm so glad that you wanted to talk about events and an event checklist, because as a marketer, I know that getting butts in seats, getting in front of people, and getting them rubbing shoulders with my other clients is always a win for me.
It is.
Well, Billy, thank you so much for being a little bit honest. I would love to taste some of the beer-themed baked goods at some point.
They did do like a chocolate lava cake, like little minis that went with the stout beer, and I'm like, if I didn't have 50 of it in front of me, it would have been very, very delicious. But one was enough, not 50. That was did not go well.
Cool. Well, I am going to encourage anybody, if you're interested, hop over to livelocalwarmmarketing.com.
Yep.
And check out what Billy's going on. Send him an email and get that checklist. There'll be a link in the show notes. Billy, thank you again for dropping by.
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. We'll definitely have more fun and adventure ahead of us here.
Absolutely. And If you've enjoyed this conversation, if it's popped an idea into your head, go ahead and hop over to morethanafewwords.com/contact. Drop me a note or leave me a voicemail. Who knows? Your 1 minute soundbite may be featured on an upcoming episode. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words.